Previously on Back of the Backlog.
Hey Kylo, quick. Oh, who was that?
Nobody. It doesn't matter.
Alright, well, I brought you two here for a special announcement. Finn will be living in this house. I actually wanted to give you something.
Watch what I'm not planning.
Yeah, so I thought I'd actually surprise Finn with the cake, some balloons, you know, and just to celebrate that he's living here, get him a little bit more comfortable in the situation.
Those are shit balloons.
I mean, to be fair, man, they are balloons though, regardless.
Couldn't you have just gone outside to go get some new balloons or some shit? I mean, come on, it's an easy, quick trip.
No, I'm not gonna go outside. There's a fucking pandemic going on, remember?
And so you said Finn and Niffler to go out? Where in the hell's the logic for that?
I know, I told Finn to never go outside and all that, but this is a different situation. He can actually go outside with a mask on, and no one will tell the difference between a human and him. I mean, it's pretty good for him.
I mean, I guess, man, I guess. I just want to check out that fucking cake.
On back of the backlog, been gone for way too long. On back of the backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On back of the backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dog. On back of the backlog, me and Kylo been fucking since dawn. On back of the backlog, did you know that Kylo wears thongs? On back of the backlog, I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert at Gaming with Me, and welcome to the 12th episode of Back at the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game EarthBound. The only history that I have with EarthBound is that I have it on the Wii U Virtual Console and was very interested in playing it. I'm not sure what about EarthBound was grabbing me, but on the Juices Loose podcast, I actually said that I wanted to beat EarthBound along with a few other games before the Nintendo Switch came out.
And this last one might be why, but I kind of feel like I have to. It's kind of important, not kind of, it is pretty important to the Super Nintendo, but it's on the Wii U Virtual Console, and that is EarthBound. Boom!
I need to do that too, to be honest with you.
Dropping a bomb.
Obviously that didn't happen because I'm talking to you about it today. In fact, all the other games that I talked about on that podcast, I didn't beat them. They'll all be in episode one day. Wow. I ended up playing EarthBound on the SNES Classic with my first time ever playing on a Super Nintendo controller. It felt good. It feels light. It feels like I'm always relaxing playing. It's a solid controller. Now, EarthBound has had a tough battle to where it's at today. In Japan, the series is under the name Mother, with EarthBound being known as Mother 2. The original Mother wasn't even released outside of Japan until June 2015 on the Wii U Virtual Console under the name EarthBound Beginnings. This is why when Mother 2 is being brought over to the US, they changed it to EarthBound just to not cause any confusion. EarthBound was developed for a long 5 years by Ape and HAL Laboratory, led by Shigesato Itoi. Apparently, development was taking much longer than expected and was threatened to be cancelled multiple times. It wasn't until Satoru Iwata stepped in to help out did the project finally finish. EarthBound was finally released in the US on June 5th, 1995. It ended up being a sales disappointment in the US. Over the years, though, it's become a cult classic due to things such as the main character, Ness, appearing in the Super Smash Bros. Series. I couldn't have played it on release because I would have been negative 4 years old, but I am glad to say I beat it on its 25th anniversary. So hey, that's cool. 25 years and all is very cool, but does it really deserve its cult classic status? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. You wake up as Ness, or whatever you call them. I personally gave them the official names of all the characters. Ness lives in the town of Onett where a meteorite crashed by. Ness's neighbor Pokey asks Ness to help him find his brother. From there, Ness travels up to the mountaintop where Pokey's brother is at and where the meteor is at. From the meteor comes a small fly-like creature named Buzz, who tells Ness that he is from 10 years in the future and that Giygas, the universal cosmic destroyer, has sent all to the horror of eternal darkness. He continues to tell Ness that there's a legend that Ness, along with 2 other boys and 1 girl, will stop Giygas before his plan goes into fruition. Unfortunately, Buzz doesn't survive for very long because Pokey's mom smashes him thinking he's just a normal insect. Before Buzz dies, he gives Ness the Sound Stone and tells him to immediately start his journey to 8 your Sanctuary locations, and maybe, just maybe, with all the locations recorded, Ness will be able to stop Giygas. Now, obviously that's a lot for anybody to take in, but Ness is a damn kid!
Sounds like a normal life.
How in the world does that sound normal?
That's the thing, I'm not from this world. Sounds normal to me.
Sounds like you had a very exciting time there.
Oh, very.
Regardless, your journey begins in Onett. Right off the bat, the game has a unique atmosphere with a weird and quirky tone, unique character designs, and a phenomenal soundtrack. I'm not exaggerating on the soundtrack. I thought Onett's theme would be a one and done because I fell in love with that track. It's incredible. Once I got to the area Tucson, I thought, well, maybe not, because this is really good too. Then there's this track that someone like Travis Scott would sample nowadays or something. The number of great songs kept going until I realized I love this soundtrack. I'm being honest, I'm not kidding. EarthBound is one of my favorite gaming soundtracks now. It's so fantastic. EarthBound has a hilarious and unique set of characters starting immediately in Onett. One of the strongest parts is the writing. It's absolutely amazing and so well written that you'll want to talk to every NPC you encounter. I did not let any human or creature pass me by without hearing what they had to say. It had me laughing out loud so many times throughout this game. EarthBound is a turn-based RPG, so a large portion of your playtime will be in combat. It has some mechanics that stand out from many other RPGs. The biggest is your HP. When you take damage, normally in other games, you automatically lose however many health points you get hit with. For example, in any other game, you have 100 HP, you get hit, you get taken 30 damage, you now are at 70 HP automatically. In EarthBound though, your health literally rolls down, so it's a countdown to 70 HP, not a quick subtraction. Now that's absolutely huge and unique because it creates some intense situations. If Ness gets mortal damage done to him, you still have a chance to recover health before you actually die, so it becomes a race against the clock to recover health. You can also kill the enemy before you die and have the fight end before you end, and you'll stay at whatever health it counted down to. Situations like that are fast-paced and nerve-wracking. The combat system may look basic and bland, but there's a tone to each battle that just makes it unique from other games. Not only because of the health system, but it's everything else that is going on. First of all, the enemies are incredible to look at because of the wide variety of designs and names. What other game do you verse a spiteful crow with sunglasses on, a bunch of cops, an insane cultist, a cave boy, a zombie dog, a fucking tent, a mad taxi, a goddamn hieroglyph, some dice with a top hat on? I mean, I could keep going. You could fight works of art and even puke. I mean, it's amazing! The variety of enemies and their names are just so fantastic. Same goes with the battle text. It's funny with it saying enemies are tripping or hysterically laughing. It says Pokey apologized profusely, or Spiteful Crow has a big grin on his face. makes your imagination just run wild thinking about these enemies and characters doing these odd things during battle. Yeah, of course it'd be nice to see these actions animated, but it works for this game being text-based and you just kind of sit back laughing to yourself thinking about it. The backgrounds are like an acid trip with unique mind-bending visuals that further get you immersed into every battle that you encounter. The sound effects of dealing damage, starting attacks, or the incredibly helpful smash attacks add to the enjoyment of combat. There's special moves that are listed under PSI powers. There are many different PSI powers for different characters. Offensive PSI can deal a lot of damage, hit multiple enemies at once, and also cause status effects. For example, PSI Freeze can cause an enemy to be frozen for 1 turn, which is very helpful. Defensive PSI is all about defending, so adding a PSI Shield can defend you against enemies that may use PSI powers themselves. Finally, there's the Recover PSI that is incredibly helpful. You can recover a ton of health with this, so it's always good to have one character as a healer in your party. It's a ton of fun to strategize when to use PSI powers and when not to. Status effects can dramatically change your character. For example, if Ness is mushroomized from an enemy, your literal controls will change. Left could be down, down could be right, up could be left. Stocking up on herbs or using your PSI powers can remove many different effects. An effect like Mushroom can be super dangerous in battle. Reason is, in battle, it can confuse your party members and have them feel strange and end up hitting their own partner like Ness, which happened to me once. One party member, Paula, killed my whole team and it was game over. As for your party members, you start off with Ness and you don't get your full party members until half the game. I was quite surprised at how long it took until we got our last partner. Thinking back though, it makes sense why there's long stretches between meeting each character, because it gives time to level up the last one you met and get you to learn more about them. First time meeting Paula felt like a huge weight was off my shoulders, because only having Ness in the party for the first probably 3 to 5 hours can be pretty tough. I think I died the most in Annette just because of how under leveled I was. Interesting enough though, I was never frustrated. Usually, when I start to die a ton of times, I start to rage a bit. But with EarthBound, it was different. I was having so much fun taking on the dogs or some dudes at an arcade that when I would die, I had no anger whatsoever. I believe a huge reason is because of how much the game respects the player. When you die, you start at however many experience points you were at, which doesn't happen with every RPG. Just that little change makes you a tad bit stronger than your previous attempt. One of the most innovative things about EarthBound that I haven't seen any other game pick up is that when you are a much higher level than an enemy, the enemy will literally run away from you. Now that may not sound like a big deal, but it totally is. Backtracking in games, especially turn-based RPGs, can potentially slow down the pace of a game, but in EarthBound, backtracking through a location is no problem because you don't have to go through 30 battles again because all the enemies are scared of you. Better yet, if you do fight these enemies, the game recognizes that you would kill them in one hit and just automatically defeat them and gives you XP. It's so respectful of a player's time that it blows my mind. Games that release nowadays don't even do this. So to think that 25 years ago, EarthBound did, just impresses me even more. Leveling up doesn't feel like a chore. There was never a point where I felt I needed to grind, even with new partners like Paula starting out at a lower level than Ness. It's just another plus. At one point in the game, Ness and Paula follow a prostitute into a hotel room where they are then ambushed by zombies and ghosts and get locked up somewhere. Yeah, that happens.
Yo, she was so fucking hot, bro.
Who?
The prostitute.
How? I could count the number of pixels she has on my fingers.
You don't even have fingers.
Touche.
Besides, it's all the subtle details that get me in the mood.
Alright, relax. We don't need to hear about what gets you going. After Paula calls out to a character named Jeff telepathically to save them, a cutscene takes us to the place called Winters, where you end up controlling this Jeff character. It actually blew my mind that we were going to play as a completely different character to go back to save Ness and Paula. We get to learn about Jeff while traveling through the snowy place of Winters with the monkey who likes bubblegum. You travel to a lab where you meet Jeff's dad, Dr. Andronuts, who is a person so many look up to and is someone who creates insane inventions. He also hasn't seen Jeff in 10 years. He doesn't even recognize him at first. Even when he does, the conversation is kind of awkward and very plain. He even ends the conversation by saying, "Let's meet up again in another 10 years or so." From that very small exchange, you can see how Jeff and his father's relationship is. So many developers chase for that cinematic story, but something like EarthBound crushes so many of those mature, dark stories by just being well written. It constantly surprises me with many quick conversations that are surprisingly deep and thought-provoking, all while still being in a fun and whimsical world. Eventually, Dr. Andronuts lets you use this spaceship to get to Ness and Paula and save the day. With Ness, Paula, and Jeff in your party, all that you need is the last member, which is Pooh. Yes, his name is Pooh. Put some respect on it. Pooh is a completely different character than the others. He grew up in the far east land of Dalam, and when you first take control of him, you are told to go to the top of this meditation-like place and complete your training. Little does Pooh know, this ain't no normal training. The spirit of his ancient lineage comes to Pooh and tells him that to complete the training, he must break his legs. With his legs broken, he's told he will tear his arms off and feed it to the crows. With his arms and legs gone, he's just a body laying there. Next, he's told he will cut his ears off, losing his hearing. All he has is his sight, but then the spirit takes his eyes. All that appears is darkness. And last is his mind, which the spirit ends up taking that too. And then Pooh is awakened, limbs and everything, and is told that his training is complete. Holy shit, that's the most intense training anyone could ever have. Eventually, Pooh is told to join Ness and the others to stop Giygas, which he does with his teleportation using PSI powers. That teleportation is something that's super helpful and you can use whenever you want. Essentially fast travel, letting you go to any previous place you've been to. Each area in the game is very memorable. The variety and situations that each town you visit are going through is so great. It gets more and more weird and insane the further you progress. In Onett, in order to progress to Tucson, you have to fight multiple police officers in a row to prove you are strong enough on your own. After that, you go to Happy Village, where you take on a cult that wants everything to be blue, and they literally look like the KKK. I was fucking stunned when I saw this. Here's Ness, defeating cultists left and right. It's so great. Back at Tucson, you help out a band called the Runaway Five by paying off their debt. In Threed, you fight zombies and meet the prostitute that I was talking about earlier. That's just the beginning of the game. Later on, you go into an alternate universe, help out these shy creatures called the Tenda by giving them a book on how to overcome shyness, and even travel to a dinosaur-filled area. There were surprises every time I booted up the game.
I love that part in Forside when the department store gets dark. That shit was intense.
I love the part where you go through a cave and there's 5 bosses, but they all argue that they're the 3rd strongest boss.
I love the part where you go to Saturn Valley and they tell you to go behind a waterfall and stand there for 3 minutes and literally have to stand there for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, there's a lot that happens in this game. I have 2 minor gripes with EarthBound. One is that there's a couple times, and I do really mean only a few times, where I wasn't sure what my next objective was, and because of that, I had to buy a hint. Yeah, there's hint houses scattered throughout your journey, where a hint guy lives inside them and you could buy a hint from him. The fact that this house is even included tells me that the developers know that some parts aren't as clear. My second minor gripe is the inventory. All 4 characters have their own inventories. I personally was never that limited in inventory, but there were plenty of times where I wanted to swap an item from one person to another, but I just couldn't. So when everyone's inventory is full, I would not be able to move one to another. It just says their pockets are full. And yeah, you're right, game. It is full, but if there was simply a swap button, then the issue would be completely gone. I heard people say this is a huge deal and a major negative, but I just don't agree. It's a minor one for sure, but a major one? No, come on. It didn't impact my enjoyment with the game whatsoever. Health items can be a huge help, especially in the later portions of the game. No need to use your PSI powers to recover health if your whole inventory is full of the best foods. A neat little detail is which food items you should give to Pooh. Giving Pooh the American food won't recover that much health for him because he doesn't really like it. He grew up in Dalam, so he's not used to a burger and fries, which is a nice little detail. Even simple things like saving is entertaining in this game. You can call Ness's dad and he'll save your progress, or every so often he'll call Ness to save. Sometimes during your journey, Ness will get homesick and think about his mom. This can happen during the middle of a battle and Ness will literally not fight because he's thinking of home. Only way to cure being homesick is to call his mom, which is always like 3 lines of dialogue where his mom just says, "Are you sad? Oh, I knew this was gonna happen. Well, I hope that hearing my voice helps you cheer up. Alright, bye." What a great mom. Ness just hearing his mom does cheer him up, which is nice. I only have that happen twice in my entire game, but some people may not have that at all. One of the funniest parts in the adventure is the Lost Underworld, the dinosaur-filled area. It's this massive area where all the characters are seen as very tiny due to the scale of the gigantic prehistoric creatures. In one location, there's a group of Tenda, the small green creatures that tell Ness and the group to get out of their dinosaur cage. I just love that line because obviously if anyone is in a cage, it's them with their tiny fencing compared to the massive landscape. As for the main objective of traveling to the 8 Your Sanctuary locations, all of them are great. Most of these towns that I talked about end with this cave and this star, which are the Your Sanctuary locations. Each of them are guarded by strong boss battles varying in designs and abilities. It's always intense tackling one of these bosses, knowing all that stops me from getting one step closer to Giygas is them. Once any of these bosses are defeated, you are brought to these locations that feel peaceful and magical. Each melody collected at these locations connects Ness to his younger self. He sees visions and stitches memories together from his past. Once all 8 melodies are collected, Ness creates the world of Magicant. Magicant is literally Ness's mind. It's a world that is very dreamlike and it doesn't make much sense at all. Characters from your journey are seen, enemies you've defeated are alive. One tells you, "Ness, I still feel pain where you wounded me." I love all these conversations because while Ness is a silent protagonist, you get to see how he feels about all this, including hurting someone. Like anyone's mind, there's happy thoughts and angry thoughts. The anger side of Magicant has fighting enemies, and at the end you travel to the Sea of Eden where you face Ness's nightmare, the embodiment of Ness's evil thoughts. Once he is defeated, Magicant is no more and the power of the land is transferred into Ness. The Soundstone is gone, and the group returns to Dr. Andonuts. He asks them if they've seen a meteorite lately, because he needs a certain material from it to finish the last invention he's working on, called the Phase Distorter. So the journey makes a full circle because we have to head back to where the meteorite landed in Onnet. Onnet is now plagued with a ton of tough enemies who also use PSI powers. It's not an easy road to get the material, but when you do, it's rewarding to know that the final step is ahead. I'll now be talking about the ending, just to let you know. Alright, so with the Phase Distorter complete, Ness and the gang are told that Giygas is attacking at their location, but in the past. The only way to go to the past and survive is to remove Ness, Paula, Jeff, and Pooh's spirit from their bodies and place them in robots and send the robots to the past. Dr. Andonuts warns them that even if they win the battle, their spirits may not come back to their lifeless bodies. Holy fuck. The intensity and the stakes are officially high. Once agreed to the robotic transformation, Dr. Andonuts thanks them for their courage and they are then sent back in time. This is it. The finale. Ness still has his signature hat on even though he's a robot, which is pretty funny. Before heading to the pass, I stocked up on food and helpful items to make sure I will make it through. This last section is easily the toughest area in the game. It's an endurance battle with powerful enemies flooding the area. The intensity is at an all-time high. The music is eerie. I don't know what would happen when my entire team falls, and I didn't want to know. My party members were knocked out so many times, I had to revive them again and again and again and again and again until I made it to the end. Here I was, standing on top of what looked like intestines, walking up to finally the reveal of Giygas. Out of nowhere, Pokey shows up, saying how he follows Giygas. But if he's in the past, does that mean? Oh god. Once the battle starts, it shows Pokey is literally blue. Yup, he's probably dead. This is it. This is the final battle. The music is intense as hell. Giygas, for some reason, has Ness's face on him. There are several theories as to why, but it's never stated. I personally like the idea of Giygas studying Ness for so long because he knew Ness would come to fight him, so the only way Giygas could take on Ness is to understand his strengths and weaknesses and essentially become Ness. It's fucking insane while you also have a fight going on. At this point, I targeted Pokey using a ton of PSI powers, freezing him so he can't fight back while ignoring Giygas even though his attacks were powerful. Eventually, Pokey takes enough damage and says, "You must feel pretty stupid to keep fighting without even knowing what Giygas looks like. If you were to ever see Giygas, you'd be so petrified with fear you'd never be able to run away. Well, prepare to be amazed." Yes, you weren't even fighting the true form of Giygas, just a contained version. Pokey reveals the true form of Giygas, and it's indescribable. Pokey tells us that Giygas cannot think rationally anymore, and he isn't even aware of what he's doing right now. His own mind was destroyed by his incredible power. Then the true battle begins. Whoa, this is quite creepy and amazing. The music is haunting. All you see is this thing. It looks like a fucked up face. Every time Giygas attacks, we are told, you cannot grasp the true form of Giygas' attack. So damn interesting. The human mind just cannot comprehend what Giygas is or what he is doing. Evil has fully taken Giygas. He is the embodiment of evil. Ness and the others continue to fight, whether by bashing or using PSI powers, but nothing truly works. Pokey comes back to taunt one last time, saying how useless they are in this universe. Giygas continues to become more indiscernible. At this point, attacks are useless. Then Paula starts to pray. "Please give us strength. If it is possible, please, somebody help us." It then cuts to Dr. Andonuts and others in the place of Saturn Valley, where they feel something they've never felt before and pray for the safety of Ness and his friends. With the power of hope, Giygas' defenses fall and his appearance changes again. Now at this point, speculation runs wild as to what is going on here, especially since Shigesato Itoi says that there's no definitive interpretation as to what Giygas is, so theories run rampant at this stage. The biggest theory is the Foetus Theory. Yes, this theory takes the fact that Giygas in this form has the shape of a baby. Theorists point out that the organs in the beginning is a uterus and the opening is a vagina. Yes, what I'm saying is Ness is performing an abortion. I love that theory. It's absolutely insane. It goes even further when Giygas' form was inspired by a traumatic childhood memory where Itoi was at a movie theater and ended up walking into the wrong theater. The movie that was playing was The Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty, and the scene that he walked into was a sex scene that as a child thought was a rape scene because of how the woman was reacting. I'm sure you could see how a child would confuse the two. It doesn't help that at the end of the scene, this woman is murdered and cut up. This absolutely dramatized young Itoi so much that it stuck with him all those years and added that terror, atrocity, and eroticism to Giygas as Itoi states. Especially with Giygas saying lines like, "It hurts," and right after saying, "I'm happy." Now apparently this theory was debunked as not official, but one, I couldn't find an article where he says that. Literally hunted for the quote around the internet, but the only thing I could find is the English localizer Marcus Lindblom says it's probably just a coincidence, which also means it's not debunked. Cause well, Lindblom isn't a toy. I wanted to bring that up because I have not seen a single person on the countless message forums I went on link a source to where a toy says this. People just follow what others say, but just do your own research. If he did say that and you know the link, send it to me. I'd love to see it. And two, if a toy ever does talk about it, or if he did, of course he'll debunk it. Nothing is right. Not even this theory. It's how you decipher it. That doesn't stop that theory from being really damn interesting. Also, a lot of EarthBound fans are tired because they've heard that theory so many times. But can you blame a person? It's a cool ass theory. It's crazy. It's very interesting. Let me hear your theories though. I'd love to hear them. Regardless, praying as Paula spreads hope throughout the world, reaching the people of Dalam all the way to Annette. Having the characters you met pray and hope for the safety of Ness and his friends. All this united hope deals massive damage to Giygas, eventually showcasing his final distorted form. Paula prays, but is absorbed by the darkness. Paula doesn't lose hope and continues to call out until someone hears. That someone is gradually revealed after several times Paula calls out. That someone is someone they've never met, but has been with them the entire journey. That someone is you. With everyone praying, including the player, Giygas is dealt tens of thousands of damage until good overcomes evil. Just like that, Giygas is defeated. The war against Giygas is over. Their souls go back to their original bodies and the world is at peace. Pooh and Jeff separate from Ness and Paula asks Ness to escort her home. It's at this point where you walk through the lands you've saved, happy music and all. Ness sadly separates from Paula and makes his way back to Annette. Ness is finally back home with his mom, sister, and dog. Ness's mom asks if you are done talking with others around town. Once you say yes, it's the end of the game. So savor those final moments, final interactions. Once the actual credits started, I'll admit, I cried. There's not a lot of games that make me cry, but EarthBound did. Not even because it's sad, far from it. The ending is so happy and it's awesome that there's an actual ending after Giygas. It's just the game was so fantastic. The journey was so impactful to me. The credits music is so incredible. I saw Iwata's name in the credits. Everything just hit me and I cried. EarthBound is a masterpiece. From the very beginning to one of the greatest final bosses in video game history. I now understand what makes this game so special. What I found interesting is that there's no side quest at all. This whole game was one massive adventure. Everything was important. I loved it so much, and I'm not gonna lie, EarthBound is officially one of my favorite games of all time. I can't stop humming the soundtrack. I can't stop thinking about the insane scenarios you go through. It's a game that I highly suggest you check out if you haven't. Overall, I'm gonna give EarthBound a masterpiece, a triumph, a coup, a marvelous feat, a feathers in one cap, a wonder, a sensation, an outstanding example, a paragon, a great work, a showpiece, a gem, a prize, a tour de force, a hit, a knockback. These are all synonyms of masterpiece off Google. Out of 10. I'm so happy I finally played EarthBound. I knew it would be good, probably even great, but one of my favorites of all time? You can't predict that. I am now someone who will yell at Nintendo, "Give us Mother 3!" And if not, it's okay. I'll play the fan translation one day, and also EarthBound Beginnings one day. Can they top something as great as EarthBound? I don't know. That's an answer for another day. That's it. This is the season finale of Back of the Backlog. I kind of wanted to step back and see what we've accomplished so far. Over the course of the last year, we've finished 12 games. Sonic Mania, Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction, Bully, Gears of War, Luigi's Mansion, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Metroid Prime, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, ReCore, Tearaway Unfolded, Minecraft, and EarthBound. 12 games, 12 different franchises. How many more to go? A lot. It's been a blast over the course of this year experiencing the variety that gaming has to offer. No other entertainment medium does what gaming does. I'm happy to sit down and discuss the sheer incredible or not so incredible things you do in gaming. It's astonishing the amount of worlds, genres, and ways to play developers create. I hope discussing some of these games maybe gives you a curiosity to try a few of them. I'm excited to see what the next 12 games in Season 2 will be. I'm very much looking forward to that. Thank you again for watching. As with all these videos, they take so fucking long to make, and this one is not every single one is going to be as long as this episode, but this was long. So I appreciate it if you share it around, and if you do enjoy it, I just appreciate you stopping by, watching these back at the backlogs. Thank you, really, very much. Have you played EarthBound? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. EarthBound is one of my new favorite games of all time, but it is officially out of the backlog. Oh shit, they're here.
Damn, what the fuck, you made this?
Yes, now shut the fuck up and say surprise when he comes in.
Hey, what you guys got here?
Surprise!
Surprise for what?
To celebrate that you're living here. If that makes any sense.
Wow, thanks.
No problem. Take a seat, guys. Come on, we gotta eat this shit, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Pretty nice looking cake. Where'd you buy it?
No, I made it.
Since when did you learn how to bake a cake?
YouTube, man. Like everything else in life.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for doing this, man. Even with the shit balloons.
Try my best. So, how was the outside world?
It was not as cool as I was hoping, especially with everything going on. At least I got to feel normal for once.
Finn, you are normal. A normal alien. Different from humans, but that's a good thing. A really good thing. I'm glad you are you. It's good to be unique. All four of us aren't what most people would consider to be normal. But that's what makes us close. In fact, let's toast to it. To being different.
To being different.
And cut! That's a wrap!
Season 1 is done! Thank you. I just want to, obviously thank the co-stars, sound team, whatever, Really appreciate you guys did a great job. Thanks so much. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm gonna take the camera, right?
Jesus.
Solid takes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll hook the switch off so you can play the next game.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, and Mario called and
I don't want to hear it. That motherfucker is our assistant, hasn't shown up in the past 4 episodes. I don't give a fuck what he has to say. He's getting credited for shit that he didn't even show up for. In fact, call that dickhead back and tell him to come here within the next 30 minutes or else he's not getting credited for the EarthBound episode, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Oh, and one more thing.
What?
Conan O'Brien called and asked if you can be on the show.
For real?
Nah, I'm kidding.
Fucking asshole motherfucker, goddamn shit. Hey, close the door, Kyle. Give me one sec. Moving around. So what's up, Kyle?
I actually wanted to tell you that I got a new agent.
Hey man, that's cool. Congrats, dude. For real.
Yeah, thanks. But I've actually made a decision that I'm not gonna be coming back for season 2.
What? What are you talking about?
I was just discussing it with my agent, and it doesn't make real sense for me.
Dude, wait. Don't you enjoy this shit?
I do, but you gotta think about it from my perspective. Big Star Wars actor in small TV show and not dating anywhere else.
So what? You're telling me you get an agent, right? You get a new agent, and all of a sudden, he's just dicking you around? He's making all your life fucking decisions all of a sudden? One agent, one date, all of a sudden?
Look, man, I'm not arguing. There's no debate. I've already made my decision. I'm not coming back.
I don't believe it. I don't believe this. Is this thing still fucking recording?